The first time I went back to Ireland with my dad, we actually went to Donegal, to Rathmullen, and we actually saw the place where the Wild Geese left off, the flight of the Earls, and it was surreal. It's something that you study in history so much, as you actually see, the lake where they leave from, and you see the mountains around them, and you think, I'm heartsick for them. I already feel like I'm away from my home. It's kind of an eerie feeling that I think all people that have Irish blood in them deal with on one level or another. There's always this calling for going back home, and you don't know why. It's almost mysterious, mystical.
Well, in 1966, my uncle was down here, and when he walked into the Alamo, the first flag he saw on the wall was the tricolor of Ireland. And that started his interest in the Irish who sacrificed their life.
San Antonio it has its own Wild Geese story in that it has Hugo O'Connor, who was born in Dublin in 1740, came with his cousins, went to Spain, and then as a soldier in Spain was brought to Mexico and evidently did a very good job, and he was promoted and became the Spanish governor of this area. He was one of the people who planned all the missions that are in San Antonio, which the Alamo was originally one of the missions. The Native Americans had a name for O'Connor, and they called him the Red Captain because of his red hair.
To be Irish anywhere in the world, I think, is to be an immigrant. And what's interesting about that word in the Irish language is there's no real neutral term for immigrant in the Irish language. The only thing that is comparable is that of an exile. And the Wild Geese definitely were exiles. They were forced to leave. They had to do that to survive. And through the centuries, you find that with Irish immigration across the board. Not necessarily choosing to leave, but because of one reason or another, they had to leave. And so I think a lot of us that come from Irish descent, we can relate to that. And that's the story of the Wild Geese, unfortunately, until future generations.
So I would work the soda booth at this festival, and that's when I first was introduced into the Irish heritage that is important here in San Antonio. And then the idea of seeing the Alamo, and as a kid growing up with Davy Crockett and John Wayne at the Alamo, and then to see it and to realize the Irish were such an integral part of defending it and sacrificing their lives to make Texas become independent from Spain and Mexico at the time. That was very important.
And for 45 years we did a wreath laying at the Alamo to honor 140 plus people that died at the Alamo were Irish descent, and 40 of them were actually born in Ireland. But as you know, the Irish have always fought for country, God, and liberty, so it's not unusual they'd be at the Alamo in great numbers.
Samuel B. Blair, Edward McCafferty, Miles Andros, Jerry C. Day, John Joseph Valentine, and Robert